Welcome back, fans. Today we are interviewing the band FRAXURES, and as luck would have it, during their interview, I learned about the lead singer's former band, Divine Heresy. Tim, are you talking about Dino from Fear Factory's Divine Heresy? Yes, I indeed am. Learning that their powerhouse vocalist Travis Neal has that kind of history blew me away. In this interview, we dive deep. We get the story on how FRAXURES was formed, the real-world challenges they battled to get to where they are, plus we get some insider on how they filmed Blackheart Serenade, that music video later. And yeah, we definitely share some laughs along the way too. These guys are seriously cool. So with that said, let's jump right into the interview on how long this band's been together. So how long has the band been formed?
I could confidently say pre-COVID, like
Cool.
right before
2018.
2018. Yeah. So, God, that sounds like AD and like BC. BC and AD. Is that how you say it?
Mm-hmm.
Before Christ and after that. It's like BC and AC, after COVID and before COVID.
Right. There are
Or
two
AP,
different worlds.
after pandemic, before pandemic.
There you go.
But yeah, so 2018, there was a band that was already established, that the band, went under a different moniker. I joined the band, Fred joined the band, and kind of that's where FRAXURES came from,
Very cool.
We just decided that a rebrand was in need.
What bands were you guys in before?
I'll let you go, Vinny.
Oh, me. I was mostly in San Diego local bands, but namely Here Within.
Cool. Very good.
Yeah, I was in some San Diego locals, and then in 2008 I joined a band called Divine Heresy.
I've heard of them.
With Dino from Fear Factory, and then I was in a band in Chicago for a while called The Bloodline.
Mm-hmm.
And now, I mean, there's probably been a bunch of different projects in between for all of us, but I won't get into that. We'll say bands. We'll say Divine Heresy, The Bloodline, and now FRAXURES.
Very cool. Now, how long ago was Divine Heresy?
It was from late 2007 till I think our last tour we did was somewhere in 2010 before
Okay.
Dino kind of went full board back to Fear Factory.
Gotcha. All right. And The Bloodline, how long ago was that?
It was shortly after that. I think 2010, 2011, and I think it went to about 2015, 2016, I think, and actually 2017. We did some great tours and stuff like that, and just kind of, it just, long story short, just didn't work out, unfortunately.
That happens, man. That's the best and worst part of music. You never know where you're going to be, and it doesn't work in one spot, it's going to work at another, right?
Yeah, absolutely. There's lots of doors that close and even more that open, I mean, if you know the right people and you got friends and, you just find people to jam with, and, it just comes out of nowhere, hey, let's jam sometime. And then boom, before you know it, you got an amazing product, and here we are.
That's right. What subgenre of music do you guys fall into? Because, I mean, metal musicians, they really like to, subgenre it out. So tell me, where do you guys feel like you fall into?
I don't know. What do you think, Vinny? Do you got one for us? That's a hard question for me.
I always say melodic metal.
I love it.
Definitely metalcore comes up a lot, because we do have the screams too. We got breakdowns. But yeah, you know what? American metal. How about that?
I love it. Sounds good.
American metal. Well, yes, you do got a vocalist that is pretty heavily into a lot of European stuff, so there might be a little splash of that in there.
Nothing wrong with that. I love the European scene.
Oh yeah, I've been a big fan of melodic death metal and melodic, I mean, everything from across the board since I was in high school. From that, for some reason, I gravitated more towards the European bands than the American bands growing up.
Yeah, I totally agree. And it's nothing to discount the American bands. It's just, sometimes your heart goes with certain scenes, and that's where it is,
I always looked at it like it seemed Nothing, yeah, nothing against the American bands, because I'm sure I'm not going to say this right, and I don't mean to offend anybody, but it just seemed like at the time the European bands, especially the Swedish bands, man,
Oh yeah.
it was like they put more time and they put more into their music. It was like the American bands were just like machines, killer music, but they would just crank out records, boom, 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 boom. And
Right.
it was like the European bands, there was different elements of music that was getting cranked out the same. You had a lot of keyboards, a lot of that atmosphere that American bands didn't have.
Oh
They
yeah.
were more straightforward, just the instruments and stuff like that. And as the scene evolved, I think, more of the American sound started kind of piggybacking off of European sound, and maybe the European sound started piggybacking off of some of the American sound.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was always I loved I loved the atmosphere and keyboards and clean
Oh yeah.
vocals. Clean
Yeah, me
vocals and
too.
heavy music was just like, yes.
Let's talk about the writing process. So, is it just a couple guys writing, or is it a whole collaboration of the band writing? How does it work for you guys?
I've talked about this before. I'm used to being in projects where there's one or two main songwriters,
Mm,
and the other guys just kind of get what they jump on, and we all, it's always like one or two guys. And um, with Fractures, it's like we all write as a band.
good,
Um,
good. I
you
love
know,
that.
Vinny, he's more into like they're the string section. So I come in, I write my lyrics, I write my melodies and stuff like that. Um, but Vinny, like, how, maybe throw in how you guys write, and enlighten me as well, because we're all in different areas when we write, so
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, it always starts with a riff. It always starts with a riff, and we just find the tempo, and then we track demo tracks like that, and then we bring it to the drummer, and he writes or rearranges or just discovers patterns, and then we'll track demos of that, and then just baby steps. The next step is then we go to Travis and we see if any melodies pop out right away. If they do, we track them. If not, we move things around. There's sometimes when the verse becomes the chorus and the chorus
yeah.
becomes the verse, or the pre-chorus. We switch things around based on feel. So everybody has their hand in it, and that's kind of what makes Fractures cool, is because it's five songwriters. You know,
Yeah.
I think in my past, at least, it was never like that. So we all give each other equal share in the songwriting process.
That was a really tough pill for me to swallow, and a kind of a big eye opener, because like I said, I come from a background of usually me and one other songwriter were writing, and you get married to an idea, and I come to the table with an idea, and like, these dudes are like, it's okay. And I'm used to like coming in and being like, all right, cool, let's do it. And you get married and it's like, yeah, let's try something else. And I'm like, that's the idea. I'm telling you, that's not, yeah, but we're not really feeling it. Like, so let's try something else. And then, I had to back off because it was really hard for me in the beginning. But as I backed off, I realized that it made things so much better. When you come in with your first idea and you're like, this is money, this is it. It works sometimes, but now I know that, you know, no matter how good it is, better ideas happen, when it's like
Right.
you have
Right.
time to, it's like, jumping in on a whim. You have time to think about it and actually rearrange it and reevaluate it and be like, oh, instead of listening to it, a year after the record's released and be like, man, I wish I would have done this and I wish I would have done that. And it would have been cool to add this part. We allow them the time for those parts to actually happen.
Well, another thing I was going to say about the songwriting process is a lot of people don't realize that the space you're in, the environment you're in, the mental space you're in, how important that is, and the chemistry. So when, we get together, a lot of times it'll be, you know, the best thing, you might be in a funk, you might not be feeling too good, but you get in that room and you get the song flowing, you get the lighting right, you know, ideas start pouring out. Travis has come over here before and we've knocked out 3 songs in a day. and it's not because it's a great studio. It's because there's great energy. We, feed off each other, and the creativity is flowing. And so that's
Yeah.
why we write together. We don't write 5 individual pieces. That happens sometimes. Ideas, yeah, but when we get together, that's when we write, and that's when the magic happens.
Absolutely does. Yeah, I enjoy that style of writing because you just like you said, you feed off one another, and like it really makes the band have its own sound because it's not just one person's ideas; it's a
Yes,
collaborative
that
effort, and it really does help.
that for sure. Yeah,
Also helps kind of keep the whole writer's block thing down too.
yeah, motivates you. Yeah.
Throughout the history of this band, what's been the biggest challenge that you guys had to overcome?
Go ahead, Vinny. What's yours?
Probably space. I mean, we used to all live in the same town, and now you get older. The pandemic happened. Life happens, and we've kind of spread out. We're all still pretty close, within 2 hours of each other. But man, that does make things tough. But you got to sacrifice, and when we do, it makes it more worth it. You know.
Yeah, I
Absolutely.
agree on that. The hardest part for me is I think going from, being in a space where we're rehearsing 2, 3 times a week together, and to moving to a spot where, you know, we, which I'm not a stranger of, rehearsing on your own, to be with bands in different states and stuff like that. But I miss the camaraderie and like the brotherhood of all of us getting in a room together and talking shit to each other, and then jamming and feeling that energy. I mean, I guess at the end of the day, it makes our live performances that much more sweeter, because then when we feel that together, it's like not only are we feeling that energy together of like, yes, this is awesome, but we're on stage. So, when you get that initial high, it's like it's when it needs to happen anyway. So it's perfect.
Right, right. You guys ever have to worry about writer's block at all?
Yeah, me. Yeah, I, I mean, these guys, I think collectively waited on me for like, I mean, a year maybe to get through some writer's block, a little over a year, then, and then like I had some health problems that took me out of the game for about a year. So yeah, and then when I came back out of that, I think well, I got with Vinny, and I was like, well, we'll see what happens. We got in a room, and it was like just we just tipped the faucet open and just started sprinkling out some words, and then oh man, that guy just came flying open, dude. So yes, I struggle
Good
the most,
deal.
I think, with writer's block. Being a vocalist, being a lyricist, life happens, and that shit can take you out of the game. I'm sure it's the same with the stringed instruments as well, with Vinny, SD, Nolan, even Fred. Sometimes life happens, and it takes kind of it takes you out of the game. You want to write, but you sit down, and us as musicians, we're our own hardest critics and our own worst enemies and our own self sabotagers. Um, so if I'm sitting in a space where I can't come up with anything, like it just it will like cripple me at the point. And then if it happens again, then I'm just like, then you start getting in your head. So I don't know, Vinny. I would say I'm the one that struggled the most with writer's block. So
Yeah, but that's also about finding inspiration too.
yeah,
At a certain point in everyone's life, there's ebbs and valleys to that. Sometimes I'm inspired, and sometimes I'm happy and I'm not. Sometimes I need to be pissed off to be inspired. And a little aggravated to really, put this thought, you know, to process it with music. So yeah, inspiration, that can be hard to find. Sometimes writer's block, though, that can be the worst. But if you keep going, like Travis did, man, he kept pushing. He never gave up. We still pushed and tried, and man, when it happened, when it was time, we all knew it. We all
yeah,
knew it.
yeah. That we would get in a situation where I was still I was still in my recovery stages. So I had like a week where I would be no good at all, and then a week where I would be good, and then a week where I'd be no good. And so I would come to Vinny's house, on the weeks that I was good. And I mean, for the first time ever in my life, like we're in the studio, we're not demoing, we're actually tracking. We're tracking for the record. We're set up to track for the record. We're set up to track final tracks. And I was writing lyrics, melodies, and tracking sometimes 3 songs in one day.
Wow.
Which I could go in a studio and track 3 songs in one day, but actually writing them from scratch and developing them and tracking them, like that's unheard of.
That's a lot of work.
That was unheard of for me. Like my brain runs out of ideas probably after you run some lyrics and stuff, and it was just, I don't know where it came from, but yeah, it was definitely the right time. The vibe was there and everything like that. But yeah, I don't know what it is. I have to, I think when life's really bad, that's when I'm writing. And when I'm happy and life's good, it's really hard to write for me. It's like, I don't see myself as a happy songwriter. I don't write happy shit.
Same here.
I mean, we have a song called Seismic's probably the only happy song that's going to be on this. Or I wouldn't say happy. It's still heavy. It's still good. It's just the lyrics aren't pissed off at somebody or something or someone or just negative. They're actually, I don't know, sexy and positive.
So moving on, I want to talk about your song Blackheart Serenade.
Yeah.
Where was that filmed?
Oh yeah, so we filmed this video out in Imperial, East County, San Diego, out by Brawley, right, Travis?
Yeah, it's basically a little less than an hour away from the Yuma, Arizona border from California. So
Okay.
it is out in the middle of nowhere. And I was out there doing some work, and I saw this cool location, and I drove by it like twice, and I'm like, man, that would be a cool place to shoot a video. It's like all abandoned. It was like it's a seeding plant. So, because there's a lot of farmland out there. So it was a seeding plant. And then one day I just drove over there because it was, open. There's no trespassing sign. So I was like, cool, well, I'm going to trespass, and check it out. And I sent pictures and videos immediately to Vinny, and I was like, man, the only challenge was getting everybody to, Fred coming from Long Beach. It's like a 4-hour drive for him to go all the way down there. And then the rest of the guys, it's like 2 hours. It's like, okay, well, if we can do it, we do it, and then we go out there, and what was it, like 114 when we were shooting the video? Like 114 is the middle of the summer in the middle of the desert.
Well, cool, man. So I think now would be a good time to play the song. Would you like to introduce the song?
Yes. Yeah, check it out. Blackheart Serenade by yours truly and Vinny truly and everybody else that's in Fractures.
All right. And we are back. Guys, that is a great song. Thank you so much for sharing that with me and the audience, man. You guys are just tearing it up. And it was such a fun song. And like, Mr. Vocalist, you have an incredible range.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah,
Well, it's
dude,
not just
like
me. You got Nolan killing that chorus too, you know?
oh yeah, very cool. Yeah, you do something in there that's pretty amazing. You go from I think it's in like the pre-choruses or whatever it may be, where you go from screaming to sing,
Mhm.
and it's just like
Yeah.
it's almost like somebody just turns a knob and just is like boop, there it is. It's like,
Yeah, I
how
remember
do you do
doing
that?
that part. Well, I guess a long time of practice. Um,
It sounds
I
like it.
remember I remember when I was younger, it was like a challenge. I think a friend of mine was like, I bet you can't go from screaming to singing. And I was like, I've never tried to do it in the same breath. And it took a couple times, but I was able to go in from like a full scream all the way coming up into a transition to singing, all the way to like the Rob Halford high note, back up. And I was like, oh, this would be cool to add into a song, and I've never really heard anybody like go into, come out of a scream into a clean, back into a scream, too much. I mean, there's a lot of singers out there, I think, that are, the evolution of heavy metal vocals and like, metal stuff. There's people doing shit that's unbelievable in their voices now. But yeah, I guess years of practice. That's the only
Yeah,
thing I
dude.
can say.
That little challenge, whatever your buddy did for you there, I mean, that definitely stood out and that impressed the hell out of me. Good job.
Oh, thank you, brother. Appreciate it.
The whole song is just incredible. And if any of your other tunes are like that, man, I'm going to be excited to buy that album.
Yeah, I think that's why we picked Blackheart for our first single. That song, out of all the songs, I mean, we felt like it was the best representation of who we are as a band, to not only reintroduce ourselves to our core local scene, but to introduce ourselves to, people that have never heard us before. It encompasses everything that we are as a band. It takes you on the full spectrum. So if you like what you hear in that song, you're gonna love the record because it's gonna dabble in all of that.
So, you guys ready to have a little bit of fun here? I'm going to try a different thing this time. I'm going to try rapid fire questions, and I got 10 of
Oh
them
no!
lined
All
up
right,
for you.
all right.
Uh,
Hang on, let me.
Hang on.
All right, let me get warmed
Now
up
we're going to
here.
give this a shot, see how it goes.
I should have smoked a joint before this. No, then I would probably botch the shit out of it if that was the case.
Yeah, that's
You'd
not.
hit me with a question and I'd be like, and Vinny'd be like, anyway, and he'd cover for me.
So, first question, festivals or medium-sized venues?
Medium-sized venues.
Travis.
Yeah, I've had the pleasure of doing both, and I love an intimate crowd more than having a giant crowd is cool, but intimate crowd is way better.
So, another rapid fire question for you, mosh pits or crowd surfing?
Mosh pits.
Crowd surfing.
All right, split down the middle. All right, Vince, your turn. Vinyl or digital?
Final.
Vinyl. I mean,
Vinyl.
I listen to a lot of digital, but I have a healthy vinyl collection.
All right, Travis, your turn. Do you prefer your metal underground or mainstream?
Oh man, gosh,
Rapid fire, come on.
Both.
All right, good. Vinny.
Mainstream.
All right, Vinny. Beer, liquor, or energy drink?
Modelo.
All right.
You know what? If I have my choice, I'm gonna go with weird tea. I like the caffeinated teas.
All right. Other than your own, what was the last song you listened to?
The newest Sleep Token song, Emergence.
Cool.
Newest Spirit Box song.
They have a whole record. What's the name of the song?
Okay. The new Killswitch song, Abandon. The newest Killswitch song, Abandon Us.
All right, cool. All right, so worst metalhead stereotype, Vinny.
Bad attitudes.
All right.
Metalheads are cool, and when they're hanging out, they're in the mood.
Yeah, I guess it would be like, the stereotype of satanic. We're all satanic, evil, bad people.
All right. And best metalhead truth.
Um,
Truth?
we are okay. So if it was like a picture and there was a werewolf and a fucking golden retriever, our tastes and our music are the werewolf, but we're actually just like the golden retriever. We're the nicest people that you could ever meet.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
All right,
Golden
Vinny.
retrieval. Yeah, same. Golden retrieval.
Same.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Vinny's would be a Chihuahua because he's always had his Chihuahuas.
Oh yeah, boy.
Not that he's a Chihuahua, but he loves his little Chihuahua doggies.
Little ankle biter.
Yeah.
All right, so big label, small label, or independent? Which do you prefer?
That's you, Vinny.
Independent.
You go.
Vinny?
Yes, I believe independent or small label, but more independent nowadays in the music climate.
All right, great. Last question, and this is probably going to be the hardest question for you guys. All-time favorite band? Travis.
The Police.
All right.
Kill Switch Engage.
Well, that wasn't too bad.
Yeah, not too bad.
Yeah.
Not too bad.
I guess it's really hard. I have 3 all-time favorites. It'd be the Police, Led Zeppelin, and Pink Floyd. But the Police, I absolutely love the Police, so they have to be my all-time.
So wrapping it up here, we all know that the music industry is not an easy industry to go into at all, and also being a musician is not the easiest profession at all. So what is some sound advice you would give to others just to keep on going?
I will say this. One of the best pieces of advice about being a musician, if you're trying to do it professionally, that somebody gave me. It was actually the old drummer that was in Divine Heresy, Tim Young. He said, being a professional musician is like being a professional gambler. You could go out, you could hit the road, everything could go right, everything could go in your favor. You could do well, you could come home and it's good. You could go out and everything that could go wrong, and you come home in the negative. Just be willing to, roll with the punches and roll with it. It's not an easy industry at all. Touring is not easy at all, even though it looks fun. It is fun, but there's a lot of work, especially being a baby band or a newer band. There's a lot of things that you'll find out. It's definitely not cranked up what it is supposed to be, what it looks like on paper versus being there. So just be patient, be open. Leave your ego at home, man. Leave your ego at home. Nobody's better than anybody else. We're all in this together. I get it. When we're on stage, we play with our friends' bands all the time, but we're not friends when we're on stage. We're there to do a job, and we're there to throw down. We're all competitive. Save your competition for when you're on stage. Lose the ego, roll with the punches, and just have a good time. And if something shitty happens, just laugh about it. It's all going to be memories. These are all things that you're going to carry with you to the end. Just be patient and don't expect to be a rock star overnight, because it's impossible, especially playing metal. Just do it because you love doing it. And if you can tour and you can make a living doing it, man, that's what we're all here for. If that happens. If not, do your thing and just enjoy what you do.
Excellent. Vinny, you got any words of advice?
Yeah, probably along the lines of the competitive thing. You have to realize that in a scene, a rising tide lifts all boats, so you should lift up every band in your scene. That's the only way we all get to where we want to go.
Absolutely. Even though we're competitive on stage, we're not competitive off stage at all. And I think the competitiveness of bands that go on stage to compete and it makes that show that much better for the viewer, because they're seeing the best of each band, because we're all competing with each other. We all want to blow each other out of the water as friends,
Yeah.
Not as assholes, and the audience gets to reap the rewards of that, because they're getting the best performance, and exactly, we all lift each other up, and being on shows together, and it's awesome.
Great words of advice. I appreciate it, guys. So final question. where can people find your band?
Definitely on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Subscribe to us on YouTube. We're kind of blowing, a lot of new material coming there pretty soon. So our day-to-day stuff, though, Instagram for sure. Fractures Official.
Yeah,
Very cool.
FRAX, like X-ray, URES. Anywhere that you look that has that title, you're gonna find us. You put that on the search bar, and you can find us. Whatever your choice of streaming platforms, you can find us there. Whatever your choice of social media, minus TikTok, because I just we haven't put a TikTok up yet. You can find us and follow us, and hopefully we'll get into a city near you soon.
Excellent. Wonderful interview, guys. Thank you so much for your time. I sincerely appreciate it. Thank you for all the advice, and thank you for sharing your story. I really appreciate it.
Wait, before you finish it up, thank you. Thanks, Tim. Thanks for inviting us on your show. Thank you for giving a crap about what we do and allowing us to connect with your audience and you as well, man. We really appreciate it.
Man, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Yeah, dude. I mean, it's all about lifting one another up, just like what Vinny said there. We have to, because if we don't, who will, right?
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. I've been in your guys' shoes before, maybe not as far as you have, Travis, but I've definitely been in the shoes before, so I totally understand how hard it is.
Far close. We're all in the same pool. We're all in the same pond. There's a small pond with a lot of fish, and we're all just trying to get to the ocean eventually, right?
Absolutely. All right, guys. Please hang around for a little bit, and we're going to go ahead and take this on to the studio. Man, how killer was that? Seriously. Having Travis and Vinny on was absolutely awesome. And hearing their story was kind of wild, but more importantly, hearing their passion for the band right now, that's what it's all about. Total class acts. Genuine dudes pouring everything into their music. And that's what I love. And I can't wait for that full album to drop, because you know where my money's going to be going. You've got that right. Straight to the strip club. That ain't right. No, buying their album. My wallet has already braced itself for that release date. Metalhead priorities, right? Did you enjoy this interview? If so, shred that like button. That way I know you enjoy this sort of content, and I will keep bringing it to you. And if you're new here, crowd surf that subscribe button, and don't forget to ring that notification bell, because you never want to miss a beat. Is this your first time discovering Fractures? If so, comment down below and let us know what you think. I'm sure the band will love to hear from you. Until next time, remember, the music scene starts with you. Keep discovering.